exclusive presentation of Turner Sports.
Welcome to Atlanta, Georgia, the Olympic City for 1996. And tonight, the NBA on TBS. From the Omni, it's the Philadelphia 76ers against the Atlanta Hawks. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Atlanta. I'm Dick Stockton along with Chuck Daly. And yes, there's no question that Jerry Stackhouse has been one of the spectacular, impressive rookies in the early going in the NBA, leading them in scoring. However, despite that, Chuck, the 76ers are really off to a dismal start. They are 2-9 on the year. They have lost 7 in a row. What is behind their difficulties?
Well, I just think the struggle surrounds itself with turnovers. They're averaging 21 a game, along with the fact that Vern Maxwell, who they put into the point guard slot, has now sprained an ankle and really struggling.
Maxwell is out. Weatherspoon is out, but he's now coming back today, so there's been some problems for this team. Now, John Lucas wears a lot of hats for the 76ers. He's a vice president, general manager, and coach, and they were rumbling this week that maybe the coach would be an ex-coach before long.
Well, I think in reality, probably John is trying to take the heat off of his club. He can, in fact, fire the coach, but I think he's in good shape. And in talking to him this morning, he indicated that probably at the end of the year he'll take a longer look at it. But I think John's got a lot of coaching years in him left.
Meanwhile, the Atlanta Hawks have a coach who's had a lot of years, Lenny Wilkins, and the Hawks are off to a surprising start, better than most people expected. They have won 8 and lost 5, coming off a win on the road in overtime against the New York Knicks last night. What has been behind the Hawks' success thus far?
Well, Lenny said this morning, he said, we're the Rodney Dangerfield of the league. We get no respect. But he came out of training camp very, very happy with his club. Along with that, they've got a very solid bench. They've really shored it up. And, of course, Andrew Lang at that center position has really moved up stat-wise and minute-wise and made the difference in this club.
All right, so the Atlanta Hawks go against the Philadelphia 76ers, who are still looking for their first road win of the year. And when we come back, we'll join Vince Cellini and Dick Versace in our Atlanta studios. 76ers and Hawks coming up here on TBS.
TBS NBA Wednesday is brought to you by Lexus Luxury Automobiles, a new journey in the relentless pursuit of perfection. By Nike, who encourages you to participate in the lives of America's youth. And by the latest revolution in watches, Seiko Kinetic, the amazing quartz watch that never needs a battery.
The revolution will be led by Jason Kidd, Jimmy Jackson, Eddie Jones, Joe Smith, and Kevin Garnett. But it will not be followed by post-game, up-close, and personal interviews because the revolution will not be televised. The revolution will not be televised, and the revolution will not fail. For as it fulfills the unfulfilled promise of Hank Gathers and Ben Wilson, the revolution is about basketball, and basketball is the truth.
The city of Atlanta, our little pro basketball hotbed tonight, is the Hawks, host the Philadelphia 76ers, and of course, we're here as always. Welcome to NBA Wednesday on TBS. It's a show that started as 4 guys in a band in Liverpool playing a little place called The Cavern. No, that was the Beatles. I got a little confused there. I'm Vince Cellini. He's Dick Versace, and Versace speaks momentarily, but first, our favorite, the refs. The locked-out officials in the league met Wednesday for the first time since the union rejected the latest offer 9 days ago. With the commissioner, David Stern, present, they met for 3 hours, but were only able to clarify some minor points. The league spokesman said the two sides are still pretty far apart economically, but one NBA referee we spoke to called it, quote, a pretty good deal, unquote, and that the officials are clamoring to get back to work. They could meet again tomorrow. And it seems Nets guard Kenny Anderson just said no to his team, turning down a 6-year, $40 million contract offer from the Nets. Anderson's in the final year of his original deal, an unrestricted free agent at season's end. Anderson said maybe the most important thing is not necessarily money, but to play for a winner. Still, it's a calculated risk, Dick. 6 years and $40 million, that is a lot. What might happen now?
Well, he's already the third highest paid guard in the league. What he really wants to do is go to New York City. Now, whether that works out or not, I don't know. I talked to Mike Rowe, the new president of the Nets. He said that there's been some interest. So they made the offer to Kenny. He's rejected the offer. So now they're listening to all comers.
Okay, if it's not New York, where might he play?
I think he's going to go to Portland. I think Portland would make a trade, send Strickland to New York. Kenny Anderson goes out to Portland, but then they have to deal with Kenny Anderson being unrestricted at the end of the year. It'd be a high-risk move for Portland. Could go down.
Okay, I think I followed all of that, and just in case, we'll connect the dots. Yes, thank you very much. Up next, the Sixers and the Hawks. Dick Stockton, Chuck Daly, Craig Sager at the Omni with the call. And, of course, we'll see you at halftime of this ballgame.
Back here at the Omni in Atlanta, Georgia, the starting lineups tonight for the 76ers. Jerry Stackhouse making his first start as a small forward after being a shooting guard. And Clarence Weatherspoon, a surprise starter at forward. He had been hurt. The Hawks and going with the same starting five they have throughout the season. And Chuck talked about Andrew Lang's fine play. Right now, let's go to the third member of our team, Craig Sager. Craig?
Well, the Sixers limp into the Omni with a 7-game losing streak. They have been hobbled by injuries to Clarence Weatherspoon and Vernon Maxwell. As Dick says, a surprise starter, Weatherspoon. He re-injured his right quadricep Saturday. He wasn't even supposed to make the trip, but he'll start. Vernon Maxwell had the cast removed from his right ankle on Monday. He practiced today. He's out till Saturday. For the Hawks, Stacey Augmon was kicked in the left calf. He played only 11 minutes last night against the Knicks before pulling up lame. He says it's better tonight. He'll probably be the first one off the bench for Lenny Wilkens.
All right, Craig, thank you very much. And we're ready to go. The Hawks are in white. The Sixers are in red. Sean Bradley jumping. And they're going to re-jump right now. There's John Lucas in his second season as 76ers head coach. Was the head man with the San Antonio Spurs for a couple of years. And another awkward tip, this time controlled by Steve Smith of the Hawks.
There's a good reason why they eliminate throwing the ball up for jump ball. The official was so short he couldn't get it up high enough to get a good tip.
Mookie Blaylock hits a three to start the game for the Hawks. Mookie Blaylock, the third leading scorer, and really the spark plug for this Atlanta team on both ends of the floor. Weatherspoon up high. And Jeff Malone, who has been hot lately after being ice cold early in the year, misses. And another three-point shot is good for Steve Smith, the leading scorer for the Hawks at over 20 a game. Hawks off to a 6-0 start against the 2-9 76ers. Inside to Weatherspoon. Arcing shot, and a tough one that is, over Grant Long. Here's Kenny Norman, who starts and should give way to Augmon if he's healthy enough. Spinning around is Lang over Bradley, and he makes it now an 8-0 game, Hawks.
Yeah, there's Sean Bradley. There's a quick 20-second timeout. John Lucas not happy with the start, giving up 2 threes, and then Sean Bradley, all he's got to do is extend his hands with that kind of size. He doesn't have to lower his hands in order to give Lang some kind of a problem with the shot in the lane. Here's Lang working. He's going over to his left. Here's Sean Bradley standing there, gets the one at him. Not a bad job. He got the hand up. Lang made a tough shot. If he keeps his hand straight up, though, it makes it more difficult rather than lowering his hand.
Sean Bradley has a 7-inch height advantage on Andrew Lang, but Lang made it look easy. So it's 8-0 after the early timeout. By the way, the replacement officials, Anthony Jordan and John Heatley, working. They go now low to Weatherspoon against Long, and Long knocks it away. So Long with a couple of good defensive plays in the early going.
Sixers game in and game out have struggled in the first quarter. They get so deep into trouble. that they can't get out of the hole.
And there is Stackhouse causing the turnover, and Greg Grant with a fine feed, and that's to the trailer, Clarence Weatherspoon. So the Sixers, who haven't shown much defense in the last few games, show it there and get on the board.
They need to work on transition defense, and that's one of the things that John Lucas is going to try to work on. And there's a 20-second call. Trying to feed the post. Bad pass. Greg Grant picks it up, pushes the ball, makes a nice feeder, gets deep into the lane, just dishes it off, and makes it very easy to score.
Illegal defense call against the 76ers. First one of the game. And Stackhouse was fronting Ken Norman, and Norman scores to give the Hawks a 10-2 lead. This is a team that's coming off a road win last night in overtime against the tough New York Knicks. Off the screen, Malone. Weatherspoon tries to keep it alive, and it's into the hands of the Hawks.
And Jeff Malone needs to get on track. You got to have a two-guard that could score because so many of your plays are set up for that particular guy to get shots.
So I hear Dana Barros' name.
Well, Dana was more of a point guard, but he was a scorer, and he had a tremendous year. But he was given carte blanche last year and was able to do pretty much what he wanted.
Mookie Blaylock leaves it for Grant Long, and Kenny Norman misses. Rebound by Andrew Lang, and Lang's follow is no good. There's going to be a foul on the play. It might have dropped for a three-point play, but there was interference on the cylinder, so it'll be a foul against the 76ers, and it's going to be against Greg Grant.
Andrew Lang moving up this year from 20-some-odd minutes to 35 minutes, averaging 16 points, 6.6 rebounds, and doing what Atlanta Hawks really need. He's wading into the lane, getting second shots like he did here. That's the important thing, and that's where I think they've really improved as a club.
Grant Long hits the first free throw, averaging 13 points a game. And he's picking up where he left off. He was the Hawks' top rebounder last year and leads them now at over 8 a game.
Funny how additional minutes sometimes will make a difference in your game.
All 5 Hawks starters are in the scoring column. They lead by 10 with 3 minutes gone by. Bradley up on the high post. Stackhouse working against Norman on the baseline, and a blocking foul called against Ken Norman of the Hawks.
Just saw an example of Jerry Stackhouse facing the basket, and they're making comparisons, and as we go along we'll talk more about it, but they're making comparisons to him to Jordan. A little bit unfair. He's going to be a terrific player, but it's awfully early.
Philadelphia just 1 for 4 from the field. Atlanta, on the other hand, red hot, missed just 1 of 6. 12-2 the score. Greg Grant just 5'7", out of Trenton, New Jersey. Bradley looking inside, try to force the pass inside to Weatherspoon. On the release, here's Blaylock back against Grant. He's got a lot of inches. And here is Smith going for 3. Long rebound comes out in the hands of Grant Long. And a turnover. Stackhouse to Weatherspoon to trailer Grant. Pulls up at the foul line and hits. And it's now 12-4, the Hawks.
Greg Grant, a little bit like Muggsy Bogues, got the same size, same kind of heart, staggers around, gets cut, goes to CBA, comes on back into the league, hangs around.
Spud Webb was like a original at 5'7", and now we're filled with a lot of players of low height.
Because they can run that point guard position. They've got the quickness. They can get the ball into position to run an offense.
Mookie Blaylock is called for the foul, his first, and turns it over to the 76ers. There's Spud Webb back in the uniform of the Atlanta Hawks. And he has been one of the cogs in the bench that Chuck talked with at the top. Sean Bradley. And it's picked up in the backcourt by Stackhouse, and they rule over and back violation against the 76ers.
And Sean Bradley, his second turnover in a row. One trying to feed the post. That time, he didn't get deep enough post position in order to do anything with the ball. And then, of course, he makes a bad pass.
Well, Bradley's, no question, he has struggled big time as of late. Didn't even start one game last week against Golden State. But he is in no position to handle the ball on offense thus far. Here is Lang working against Weatherspoon. Blaylock for 3. Rims the hoop. Weatherspoon gets the rebound. Here's Grant pushing it up for Philadelphia. Knocked away by Blaylock, and he can't save it. So it's last touch by the Hawks.
In watching Mookie's career, he'll have a great night one night, and then on back-to-back, sometimes he struggles on the second night, particularly with shooting. But you can never fault him for defense. One of the top stealers in the league.
Richard Dumas who matched the season's high with 20 off the bench against Golden State Saturday, has come in the game, replacing Jeff Malone. A little more size in there for Philadelphia. Stackhouse goes in, trying to challenge Grant Long. And here's Mookie Wilson. Hawks are getting back quickly on the offensive end. That's the transition game you're talking about.
Yeah, the Sixers really got to work at it, and they're...
Smith goes baseline around Stackhouse, and Dumas committing the foul for Philadelphia.
Yeah, individual defense, and we'll take a look at it. Watch here. He's got to dribble his hand, goes left. Fakes going back to the middle, and he beats him so easily. Stackhouse really got to work on his individual defense. You can't get beat. If the guy has the ball and he's not dribbling it, it's a different story. He can fake it. But when he's dribbling it, all you have to do is keep yourself in front of the ball. Keep your chest in front of the ball, and he can't beat you.
Steve Smith, who was the number 5 pick in the draft for the Heat, he came over along with Grant Long, makes 1 out of 2. Grant working against Mookie Blaylock. Bradley setting a screen for Dumas, and the rebound taken down by Grant Long.
Philadelphia getting basically no second shots. They're going to have to work harder to get one and done. Won't get it done.
Smith traveled as he spun to the baseline, and that'll turn it over. And we'll have a stoppage of play with 6:30 remaining in the first period. Atlanta has led all the way.
When the ball goes up, you have a choice. You can watch or you can rebound. Understand that the ball won't come to you. You got to go get it. You got to want it more than anyone else on the court. It takes heart. It takes sacrifice. It takes the willingness to do whatever your team needs, because you cannot win without the ball.
Friday night NBA on TNT. Alonzo Mourning, Larry Johnson. Will former teammates become future rivals? It's the first showdown since the big trade. Hornets Heat. Friday at 7:30 on TNT.
Here's Sean Bradley on a post-up. He's too far out. If he gets pushed out this far, he's got to reverse and try to get a post-up position here where he can become effective. And you'll see why when he catches the ball here. Catches the ball, tries to make a move. They keep him in position, tries to fake an under. He then throws the basketball away. He's got to establish better low post position, and they've got to set up the offense where he can get to that box, because he's big enough. He catches the ball there, he could become an effective player.
Bradley has not taken a shot yet, and Jerry Stackhouse has taken only 1 shot so far for the 76ers, who trail by 9. Dumas at the top goes in low. Good position for Weatherspoon, and he scores. He got him down low effectively.
Well, John Lucas knows where to go, because he knows Weatherspoon could score on the box. He got him the ball. They set the pick, and then they got him on the top, and they threw over the top and got him easily in the lane.
Mookie Blaylock working outside. 8 on the shot clock. Blaylock with a jumper hits. Mookie Blaylock now with 5 points. Smith has 4, so 9 of the 15 points for the Atlanta Hawks have come from their backcourt. Grant for 3, left open at the tip, knocked out by Dumas. Weatherspoon with a follow. He had good position and an open shot. Outlet from Norman to Steve Smith. Smith for 3, and he's got it. So Steve Smith now has hit his second 3-point basket, and the Hawks have opened up a 12-point bowl.
Boy, does he have the green light come down. He was 1 on 3 basically, and he nails it.
But you're right, Chuck. The Hawks are beating the Sixers in the transitional game. Stackhouse working against Long, short on the runner, and it's taken down by Norman. Looking for the 3 was Smith. They go out to Norman. They're giving Norman the shot. He'll take it. It's a 2. And Dumas gets the rebound.
Wide open. And they've got to be more of a commitment to transition defense. You've touched on it twice, but they've got to get back. It's really a struggle. And the backboard's 9-4. And Philadelphia getting no offensive rebounds.
Stackhouse finds the open man after the double team in the lane. Weatherspoon can't do it. Good defensive sequence by the Hawks. And driving in, Dumas misses it. Fight for the loose ball, taken down. by Grant Long. The Hawks doing a good job with their interior defense thus far. And here is Grant Long with the short jumper, and Bradley gets his second rebound of the game.
The Hawks not giving up any second shots. And in order to win basketball games, you've got to get second shots.
Dumas open hits. So Richard Dumas, who was signed in September and has started the year as a red-hot free throw shooter, the best on the team.
The Hawks, all of a sudden, they get the nice lead. They're starting to settle for outside shots rather than going inside where they did there, and they pick up a foul.
Sean Bradley over the top, committing the foul, and that is his second foul. Sharon Wright is coming in for the 76ers. He has been playing despite shoulder problems, and Alan Henderson, who is the #1 pick for the Atlanta Hawks, who has been a very pleasant rookie for Lenny Wilkins, checks in for Atlanta.
Out of Indiana, very solid player. Lenny thinks he's probably going to be a starter, but he has a great backdoor.
Good give and go backdoor, and Mookie Blaylock with the basket. He has 7 points, so Blaylock and Smith each with 7.
Here's a classic give and go from the top. Lang starts over the dribble. Grant trying to overplay. Backdoor. Hello. So easy.
20-8, the Hawks lead, and 14 of those 20 have come from the guards Mookie Blaylock and Steve Smith. Stackhouse hasn't been able to get off a shot. Greg Grant misses from the corner. Lang had it and lost it. Stackhouse with the follow. Jerry Stackhouse, averaging 19.6, gets his first points of the game.
Gary Grant is struggling with that outside shot, and he's the guy. They're going to give him that outside shot, and he's got to at some point make it. And I would say step in a little bit. Don't stay out on that three-point line area. Step in and get a good percentage shot.
Vernon Maxwell missed badly, as you mentioned, the second leading scorer, #1 playmaker and the second three-point shooter, and the basket by Lang. So again, a 12-point lead inside to Wright, and Wright is fouled. Nothing the Hawks could do but commit the foul. And we'll have some substitutions coming in. Craig Elo and Derek Alston will be checking in when we return.
The Hawks are up by 12, and I'm with perhaps Atlanta's most popular athlete from 1982 through 1994, Dominique Wilkins. Nick, what brings you back home, and what are your thoughts, memories as you come back here?
Well, they said they're going to dress me out at halftime, so I'm just staying ready.
Past year and a half, you've been sent to the Clippers. You named captain of the Celtics. Now you're playing in Greece. Is it one of those situations that you enjoy the lifestyle, or do you think you'd like to come back?
I enjoy the lifestyle. I mean, Greece is great. It's a great opportunity for me. But, of course, I miss the NBA. And, of course, I miss being a Hawk because, I've always been a Hawk and always will be. But, I'm having a good time.
Seriously, what brings you back tonight?
Well, my mom is sick, so coming back for her surgery, and then I'm going back to Greece probably Tuesday or Wednesday.
Well, the Hawks brought Spud Webb back, maybe Dominique too.
Hey, never can tell, Like I said, still early, and got another quarter before they decide to make their decision, so we'll see what happens.
Thanks for talking with us. Best of health to your mom.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, thank you, Craig. So the lead is 10. The Sixers trailed early. The Hawks scored the first 8 points of the game, and Stackhouse on the steal goes the length of the floor for his second hoop.
On the last possession, John Lucas had his guards go down court, pressure a little bit, and it got Stackhouse into the defensive mode, and he gets a big steal.
Stacey Augmon and Craig Elo both are into the game. Augmon, #2 with the ball now. Remember, he had his leg kicked a couple of games ago, so he's not 100%, and he misses the fall-away shot. Here's Greg Grant. Derek Alston, a second-year big man from Duquesne, checked in for the 76ers, and a traveling call called against Greg Grant.
Watch the anticipation. Stackhouse, Craig Elo looking for the ball. Stackhouse easily into the lane, gets the big dunk. A little semblance of Michael Jordan there.
Well, they both played at Carolina, and it's natural that there are going to be comparisons there, but I think people agree that he's going to be a star in the league. He's just with a weak team right now and doesn't have the tremendous support that has the maturity. Under 2 minutes remaining, and Andrew Lang with a hook shot. Well, he's worked with Dick Helm to improve his footwork in that position.
He looks awkward, and it doesn't look like the shot's going to go, but he does get the shot to go down. A very effective player. And you're right. Lenny gives full credit to Dick Helm.
3 for 3 for Andrew Lang in the lane and a foul. So the 76ers going low and getting some success and getting to the free throw line. Derek Alston will go to the line, and Alan Henderson committing the personal foul. I want to remind you that Chuck and I will be at the United Center 1 week from today, and this should be a great matchup. The New York Knicks against the Chicago Bulls will be with you with the NBA on TBS next Wednesday at 8.
That could be a semifinal or a final in the East. It should be a good one.
These teams have met before in critical playoff games.
A few times. And not much separated.
Early scores with Charlotte leading the New York Knicks, who lost to these Hawks last night in overtime. Alston hits both free throws, had his first start of the year Saturday against Golden State.
Grant starting to pressure Mookie Blaylock, and it's paying dividends. I think it's got him in a more defensive move and much more aggressive.
Alston is all over Henderson. Elo playing way out into the corner. And Andrew Lang got free inside. So 8 points for Andrew Lang, and he's now the Hawks' leading scorer as they'll go up again by 10. Stackhouse guarded by Elo. Going low now to Wright. Gets his own rebound on the miss. Good follow-up. Alston on the weak side with a pump fake and a foul. So the 76ers asserting themselves on the offensive play.
Much more aggressive, and it shows in their play. If they'll get aggressive on the offensive board, a little aggressive defensively, it's going to be a plus. Sharon Wright went up very strong, got 2 shots blocked, but they hung around. Alston picks up the loose ball, gets to the line. Anytime you can get to the foul line, you can stop transition basketball, and that's one of the big benefits of getting to the line.
Stacey Augmon committing the foul, and a brick thrown up by Alston, who is now 5 for 9 from the free throw line in the early going. He was signed a month prior to the start of the season. He's out of Duquesne in Pittsburgh, and he is in his second season. Missed them both, but Dumas gets the rebound and tipped up by Alston. So the 76ers continue to hang in there and trail by 8.
Yeah, this is a good quarter for them, the way they started out. They're getting back in the game, and it's obviously, we've talked about being aggressive defensively.
And Greg Grant guilty with his first foul, and 34.7 seconds remaining in the quarter, and a new clock for the Hawks. Differential of about 10 seconds, and hitting the deck is Dumas, and a foul will be called against Richard Dumas, his second personal foul. Sixers are over the limit, so Stacey Augmon will go to the line to shoot. John Lucas, coach and GM, only the second Philadelphia 76er to handle the dual roles. Jack Ramsey was the only other one.
It's a tough role. It's, you got, I think Don Nelson probably put it the best when he was Golden State. You can't prepare your team as well because you've got to be on the phone. You've got to be thinking with 2 hats. It's a very difficult job. It's a nice job to have because you are in control of your destiny. But when things don't go well with your roster, then you've got the problem.
When your destiny doesn't look very good, the jobs don't look very good. About 5 second in a differential. Augmon hit the free throws to give the Hawks the 10-point lead. Good feed from Grant inside to Sharon Wright, who hits it. Good finger roll by Wright. It's 28-20, and now the Hawks playing for the last shot. Blaylock going to Henderson, and misses the shot. Loose ball, and no basket as Stackhouse tried to throw it away. So Andrew Lang with an impressive first quarter with 8 points, perfect from the field, and after one period of play, the Atlanta Hawks lead the Philadelphia 76ers by the score of 28-20.
Don't like soft drinks with fruity names. I like roller coaster rides that make my brain sweat. I find reasons to go a different way. My family and I enjoy life to the utmost. So if you want to experience my joy, don't ride with me. Buy your own.
The Atlanta Hawks, who have won 9 in the last 10 games against the 76ers, have an 8-point lead as we start the second quarter. Dick Stockton and Chuck Daly. 76ers have been blown out. Average margin of defeat nearly 20 points, and they have not had the lead just 5.5 minutes this season. So they haven't really had the lead much during this 7-game losing streak.
Yeah, they started out with 2 wins and everybody got carried away, but their whole year, their differential is 12.3, which is as high as there is in the league. They've got to cut that down.
38% shooting for the 76ers, and the Hawks over 50 as Sharon Wright misses the first shot of the second period, and Spud Webb into the ball game, always a crowd favorite here in Atlanta. Back with the Hawks after being in Sacramento, and a foul called against Greg Grant, and that will be his second personal.
And talking to Lenny Wilkens, he wants Spud to come in the game in the second quarter. Let's push the ball and make something happen. And that's Spud's game, and it's good for this club. It gives them a little change in tempo.
Spud Webb had a season's high of 13 against the Knicks last night. Augmon with a good move around Austin, and it's tipped up and in by Stacey Augmon, coming off the bench, averaging 13 a game, now has 4. Hawks scored the first 8 points of the game, led by as many as 12. Jeff Malone now in the ball game, comes around a screen, can't do it. Augmon leading the charge for the Hawks. Dumas breaks it up, and they're going to call a discontinue against Stacey Augmon.
Yeah, he had a chance to kick off the ball. He got in a little bit of a trouble. Discontinue is when the ball comes up and you lose control of it with the hand. Here's a perfect example of it. Loses control of the basketball. It's no longer a continuous dribble, and they take it away.
Malone is guarded by Elo. Turnovers virtually even. That's a plus for the Sixers the way they've been going. Sharon Wright, and a good play made by Andrew Lang defensively. And Elo wide open at the top, misses the 3. Craig Elo playing more minutes, and Lenny Wilkens told us today you're going to see a lot more of Elo.
Well, he had 2 knee surgeries last year, and that's been a problem. However, if you watch Lenny Wilkens coach Craig Elo, crunch time, he trusts him as a player. He will have him in there to keep him.
Chuck, he's really a security blanket from the years that they played and coached in Cleveland. And so he feels good having Elo on his team. Elo got the rebound, and a foul is called against Derek Alston.
Craig Elo's one of those players, goes 100 miles an hour, but he does so many things well. He's a good outside shooter, he's a good handler, he plays a lot of positions, but he's a competitor, and he's been, you're right, he and Lenny have been together so long. Trust is the word I like.
Go down low now to Alan Henderson, ball away. Crashing the boards is Stacey Augmon, slapped away, and it's going to be, as the officials check with each other, Philadelphia's possession. Substitution in the game for the Atlanta Hawks. Grant Long came in to replace Andrew Lang, who has 8 points to lead the Hawks.
Rebounds are comparable. Atlanta 14, Philadelphia 13, but Philadelphia's 7 offensive rebounds. It's keeping them in a position to hang around a little bit.
Pointed out they came on strong off the offensive glass toward the end of the period. 3-on-2 break. Augmon takes it himself, and a blocking foul. The basket will count for Stacey Augmon, and a foul is tacked on. That'll the 3rd foul on Greg Grant, so the 5'7" point guard is in foul trouble.
Watch this break. I don't like this play. Watch. Stacey Augmon has in the middle. He tries to split it. Actually almost walks and throws up a wild shot. He had 2 guys in the wing. Thought he could have made a better play. He does get the opportunity to go to the foul line, but they should have converted on the break because now he's got to make both of them.
Augmon in his 5th season out of UNLV. The basket counted, so he just had the 1 free throw. And again, the Hawks lead by 12. This has been a recurring nightmare for the Sixers to be down by 10, 12 points since this game has gotten underway. Malone going low. Elo with great anticipation on the steal, but he stepped on the line, and it'll be 76ers ball.
Lenny Wilkins clubs are always very well coached defensively because they're always in position. They don't take outrageous chances in trying to steal a basketball, but they're in passing lane positions. You've seen it 2 or 3 times that there was Craig Elo in particular, in a great position to make that steal.
Clarence Weatherspoon checks in. Sharon Wright goes out for Philadelphia. Derek Alston looking inside for Weatherspoon. He is double teamed with Henderson and Grant Long. Misses the short shot, gets another baseline, and makes good. Clarence Weatherspoon coming in as the 3rd leading scorer at 16 a game, and it's again a 10-point lead.
He's a very solid offensive player. He's a guy you want to get shots, but they're a little bit tentative offensively.
Elo missed from the corner, and the 76ers, who have cut it down to 8, can do so again. Henderson is giving Alston the shot, working his way in with a turnaround. Not a good shot by Derek Alston.
He had a better shot when he caught the ball, and then he made it a tough shot. And so many players do that because they don't have confidence in their outside shot.
Drawing the foul is Grant Long, and the basket is going to count. Grant Long. Now traveling is called, a late call, and Lenny Wilkins is off the bench. You don't normally see Lenny Wilkins lose his temper because
he did walk. He did walk. He moved that left foot. He must keep that left foot down. Good call. It was very slight, but they're calling walking more so than the regular officials.
Malone with a runner. And Jeff Malone, who started the year shooting 29% in the first 6 games, but has been over 60%. And the Sixers hope that he finds the mark. They're going to need his experience, the 13-year veteran. 8:20 to go in the first half. And Henderson with a good move around the hoop. Alan Henderson, who's averaging nearly 6 a game in 17 minutes.
We talked about it earlier, but Lenny Wilkins is very, very high on this kid, Henderson. He feels he's going to be a very solid player. We said earlier, he thinks he could start next year, which is quite a compliment on this club.
If you're a coach, when a coach says that, you know he means it and probably will be in there.
Absolutely.
Steal back by Dumas. Grant feeding Dumas, who slams it in. So the Sixers taking advantage of some carelessness by the Hawks. Cuts the lead to 8.
Anytime this happens, you'll see Lenny Wilkins getting to a set play. He knows turnover. You want to get to a point here where you can get a good shot.
Pick and roll with Lang and Elo, and they're going to jump it up between Grant and Henderson. That's a mismatch on the jump.
That's a pass that a lot of players like to make. That's like throwing it up against the secondary in football and saying, I hope it gets there.
Hawks control. Less than 7.5 minutes to play in the first half. Hawks led by 8 at the end of the half, and a foul is called as Augmon drives the lane and have an 8-point lead now. And Greg Grant, who has been kept in with the 3 fouls, now has picked up his 4th. And John Lucas is going to have to go to the bench, and we're going to have our first look at Greg Graham, who has started several games at point guard.
And Greg is basically a 2-guard out of Indiana also. He's going to have to handle the ball, and I suggest that probably Leonard will put a little more pressure on him. At least he ought to think about it, because he's not a great handler. He's not a point guard. Doesn't have that kind of mentality.
Spud Webb looking for help, goes outside to Augmon with 10 on the shot clock. Beat Dumas off the dribble. Dumas controls, and we're going to jump it up. Dumas and Augmon will be jumping. Interesting that despite the 76ers' problems, they haven't had the lead. They are staying within range of the Hawks. The Hawks got it up to 12, and that's been as much as they could get up.
Yeah, Lenny Wilkins is not very happy right now because there's too many turnovers here without good shots, and it's keeping the Sixers around.
Last year, the Hawks won 3 of the 4 meetings between the teams. Spud Webb missed an open jumper, and a reverse layup by Augmon. So the loose ball, and Stacey Augmon has come off the bench to score 8 points, and that's exactly what Lenny Wilkins wants from him.
Yeah, they stole that jump ball. They was up real quick. Webb got a great look off the jump. That's not being alert on those jump balls, those little things that make a difference, and here's a turnover.
Graham with a bad pass. Augmon releasing down court. Didn't have control, but it bounces. So Stacey Augmon now with 10 points and 5 rebounds, and John Lucas will call a timeout as the Hawks have opened up a big lead of 38-26.
Now, a brief on the Olympic Games from Haynes.
At the first games, courageous athletes competed without clothes. Think how tough that was for announcers.
And a tall guy is passing the man with the mole. Or is that a freckle? Wait, here comes a bald guy on the outside.
If they had Hanes back then, all those great styles and colors would have made it easier to tell them apart.
I see the Spartans are sporting black boxer briefs, and the Phoenicians are once again in purple.
I'm Michael Jordan, and you've been briefed.
You want to see low post defense? Watch Clarence Weatherspoon, and Grant Long works the right side, gets around to the other side, keeps working, finally makes the steal. A heck of a defensive play. Augmon making one of those acrobatic, catches it in the air and still finishes up making the shot.
Grant Long, 9th in the NBA in steals, and Stacey Augmon having a terrific game off the bench. The two, part of the Hawks' strong start. They lead 38-26. Malone guarded in the perimeter by Elo. Sixers are shooting only 38% from the field. Atlanta at 58%. That's a wide margin. Graham spinning his way in, and Long banged bodies, and the foul will be against Grant Long, his first. Other scores: the Celtics have an 8-point lead over the Pistons at the Fleet Center, and the Hornets have opened up a 7-point lead over the Knicks in Charlotte.
Yeah, the Knicks struggling a little bit, of course, coming off a loss last night and then going to Charlotte. When you travel back-to-back, I think they'll come back stronger in the second half. And then, of course, Detroit and Boston. Detroit, a little bit of surprise, been able to beat Houston, be able to beat Seattle. Then they'll lose to some other clubs, but they're in that range where they're making a move up the ladder.
That's the inconsistency that Doug Collins has to live with. But when you got a Grant Hill and a lot of good young players, and Ratliff trying to develop, and Thorpe, he's just trying to get the chemistry going.
Exactly. And they're playing without Joe Dumars unless he's back in the lineup tonight, which I'm not aware of.
Graham with the 2 free throws. They go low now. Augmon double teamed and lost it, but foul. Sixers double teamed down low, and that foul will be against Dumas, his 3rd personal foul. And Jerry Stackhouse, who has scored 4 points, has returned to the game for Philadelphia.
John Lucas happy about the way playing defense. They're working at it. Unfortunately, they get the clock down inside of 7 seconds and they commit the foul. If they can extend that defense another 3 or 4 seconds, then they're going to start getting some turnovers, getting some misses, getting some runouts, and be a better offensive club.
Stacey Augmon coming in as a 75% free throw shooter in his 5th year. Played under Jerry Tarkanian at a UNLV. Was a starter last year, but is preferred coming off the bench this season.
Yeah, Lenny had to talk to him about it. Talk to him some of the great Sixer men, of course, Havlicek, the Vinnie Johnsons, people like that, who've come in off the bench, been 6 men and been stars, and it's been a very acceptable role and a good role for this particular club.
And Augmon has 12 points, so he is benefiting by coming off the bench, although he commits the personal foul there, his 2nd. Stackhouse will inbound. Graham now at point guard, as Greg Grant has gone out with 4 personal fouls here in this first half. On the switch, Grant Long picks up Stackhouse, and the rebound by Weatherspoon, surrounded by white shirts, and Atlanta Hawk foul.
It's one of those tough plays for an official to call, but Weatherspoon wheeling inside, turns into the defensive man and draws the foul. Lenny smiles about it, but it's a tough call for the official.
And the 3rd foul on Augmon. So Augmon with 12 points now has been hit with his 3rd foul, and Weatherspoon way off the mark on his first free throw. Well, for the first time since engaging in their major 6-player trade, the Charlotte Hornets and the Miami Heat will square off Friday at 7:30 on TNT. Ernie Johnson and Reggie Theus kick off all the action with a half-hour pregame show at 7 p.m. That's this Friday on TNT. And Chuck, you're going to be in the studio as well. Can't wait.
Exactly. That's going to be an interesting matchup. You know, of course, everybody says, well, it doesn't mean anything, but it does mean something. It'll be a different kind of game.
It means a lot.
Yeah.
Charlotte wants to show that without Mourning they could play, and
Mourning will want to show them what they lost.
Elo coming off the screen. Malone stays with him effectively. Missing from the corner is Smith. Steve Smith, who started the game and scored 7 points, but has been on the bench and has had a good rest right now. Hawks with an 11-point lead with 5 minutes remaining in the first half. Feed from Henderson off the hands of Elo, and a Hawk turnover. Graham penetrating and feeding inside, and it was last touch by Clarence Weatherspoon, and yet another turnover. Back into the game now, Sean Bradley, the 7'6" center who started the game, and Bradley has not scored and has 2 rebounds.
They need to get him in a position to try to get him some shots. I think when you have a player like Bradley, he's going to perform better in other aspects of the game if he gets some shots.
Grant Long with a fake on Bradley. Banks it off the glass. Tipped up and in by Alan Henderson. So the Sixers, doing nothing off the defensive board, let the Hawks in unmolested.
Well, you give up easy ones like that. They're really killers. Weatherspoon looked over John Luke and says, what can I do? But someone has got to be responsible for getting back in there, trying to box him. It's one thing to let him get in there, not that easy.
Hawks with their biggest lead, Chuck, 13 points right now with 4:15 to go. And Stackhouse driving to the hoop. Coming back in the game will be Andrew Lang. Lang had 8 points to start the game, and Grant Long sits down for Atlanta.
Yeah, Lenny's going to match him up with Bradley because he had so much success against him. He was able to get to the basket, score against him, and really control him back.
Time running out, and that was another turnover. Weatherspoon, very sloppy play by the 76ers with yet another turnover. Spud Webb with a reverse layup, and the crowd loved that end-to-end foray by Spud Webb, his first points of the game. And coming right back is Graham, but he misses the layup. This is a 2-on-2. Bradley is back as a safety man for the 76ers.
Spud Webb doing what he's supposed to do. Perfect example right there.
Weatherspoon overplaying and called a 20-second timeout before he lost the ball.
Watch Spud Webb gets all the way to the basket. For all you little guys out there watching basketball and you're 5'7", 5'8", think, I don't have a chance. How about this for Spud Webb?
And a full timeout now called by Philadelphia.
The future of the Hawks, who are up by 15. The future is in the hands of Stan Kasten, team president. And Stan, obviously good chemistry and unselfish work ethic. But are you surprised by the 8-5 start?
Oh, we're really not. And by the way, let's give some credit to Pete Babcock and Lenny Wilkins, too, who do their jobs about as well as anyone. We thought coming into the year we had a very good team. The second half of last year, we were 24-14. We added Spud Webb. We added Alan Henderson. And so we think we have a very good team, poised to take the next step that we still have to take to get us right to the top. But we feel very good about the team.
Two-time NBA Executive of the Year, but also President of the Braves. Congratulations on the World Series, where you've had more success in baseball. Has the salary cap made this job more difficult?
No, I think the salary cap has made it easier because it has brought a stability to the league that we still don't have in baseball and that we need so desperately. So it makes for creativity requirements, and it makes for jobs for lawyers, which I'm in favor of. But all in all, it's really helped the league quite a bit.
Congratulations on a great fall. The Braves in the World Series and the Hawks off to a great start.
That was Spud Webb. 46-29.
On a long outlet.
Bradley going in, and he does not get the points. Knocks the ball away. But I'll tell you what, Sean Bradley is a frustrated center, but in all fairness to him, I haven't seen one play designed for him yet in this game.
Nor have I. Nor I have seen him get it in the position where maybe he could do something about it on the box. I know they have more confidence in Weatherspoon, but at some point, I think you got to reward the big guy.
He is 7'6". This is a basketball game.
And he's got some skills. He's got pretty good hands. He's got some touch.
Ken Norman, who started the game and gave way to Stacey Augmon, has come in replacing Craig Elo. Augmon leads the Hawks with 12, and a bunch of guys with 4. Weatherspoon is the leading scorer for Philadelphia with 7 points.
Bradley fakes the shot, goes left. Pretty good move for a guy 7'6". Gets the shot. Just doesn't get the roll here. Then it rolls around. But, I mean, that's a heck of a move for a guy that size.
You know, Chuck, when he drove to the hoop, the Hawks said, you can take it. There's nothing we can do about it.
Yeah, exactly.
Webb controlling. Atlanta bench is producing again as they've had all season. Webb is running the show. Elo on the bench now has 3 assists, and Augmon and Henderson scoring well. And as you mentioned, he is giving, Spud Webb is, the up-tempo game to Lenny Wilkins' club, and he draws the foul.
Yeah, Mookie Blaylock is down to 33 minutes, where last year he'd probably be playing 40 minutes. It's going to give Mookie a lot more rest. but Spud Webb has made a real difference in his club. When you have a second unit that can be led by this kind of point guard, it can make a heck of a difference, and you can see it here tonight.
Spud Webb returning to Atlanta, having played his first 6 years with the Hawks. Traded for Tyrone Corbin with Sacramento, averaging over 7 points a game. Webb now has 6 points, and the Hawks have run off 8 in a row to open up a big 48-29 bulge with less than 2.5 to play. Second period, along with Chuck Daly, Dick Stockton here at the Omni in Atlanta. Jerry Stackhouse has scored just 4 points. He's in the game right now. Bradley hits from outside, so Sean Bradley gets into the scoring column. He is averaging over 9 a game.
I can understand John Lucas' predicament. He likes some other people better on the box. There's Webb.
Beating Graham off the dribble, high off the glass, and Spud Webb has 8. So Webb and Augmon alone have 20 points off the bench for the Hawks.
Greg Graham trying to cheat to the middle of the floor. Webb just takes him baseline, gets a wide open shot.
Under 2 minutes to play in the half. 19-point lead for the Atlanta Hawks, trying to extend their record to 9-5 on the year. Pick and roll to Bradley from Graham, and Bradley puts up the hook. And 3-second violation is called. And Bradley has some words with the official.
Spud Webb fakes the middle for it. Graham gets caught. He just takes the baseline. And smartly he pulls up, does not take it in among all those 7-footers, and gets a great little shot. So many guys want to keep going. If you can get fouled, it's great. But if you can pull up and take that shot, it gives you another dimension.
Less than a minute and a half to play in the first half. 10 on the shot clock for the Atlanta Hawks. Webb going outside to Norman off the foot of Dumas. Coming up on the Reebok halftime report, Vince Cellini and Dick Versace will have scores and highlights from around the league. Plus the Suns' Charles Barkley teaches English 101. I want to take that course. That's all coming up on the Reebok halftime report. And you can join me in class if you like.
I'd love to.
Pick and roll with Andrew Lang, surrounded by 3, including Bradley, who blocks it. Sean Bradley, who had 6 blocked shots, a season's high in the last game against Golden State, in a game he did not start. That's his first of the game. Under a minute to play in the half, and Stackhouse rolls in the layup. He has 6.
Terrific move off the box. Very quick. Left hand. Looked a lot like Grant Hill on that play.
Third pick in the draft, as was Michael Jordan when he came out. Jumper missed by Steve Smith. Graham gets the rebound. And a foul is called.
One of the things I like about Lenny's club is he's very comfortable with who's ever on the floor. In other words, he rotates people. He knows they played last night, rotates people through, and he's comfortable with any lineup he has on the floor.
Chuck, I got to think they're comfortable with him because he's consistent in his lineups. He used the same starting lineup and his rotation. Dumas open from the corner. Bradley gets the rebound. And he just left it for no one. And here's the lead pass. No one will get this one. It's in the 4th row. I'll tell you, Sean Bradley is starting to assert himself a bit.
He gets around the basket at 7. Balls are going to fall into his hands. And if you can keep him around the rim and work him in there, and I think that eventually John will devise more situations where you get him a little close to the basket. I don't think you can ask him to run 15 feet, 14 feet to get an offensive rebound.
Playing for the last shot of the 76ers, who are down by 17 points. They've never led in this game. The Hawks scored the first 8 points. Stackhouse giving up his dribble. Graham has it knocked away by Spud Webb, and that'll do it. No basket. So Spud Webb with a steal. And so the Philadelphia 76ers, who have been struggling so many ways this year, have their low half of the season. They have scored only 33 points, as John Lucas is as frustrated with any of them. So we've completed the first half here in Atlanta with the Hawks in front of the Sixers, 50-33.
The Reebok Halftime Report is brought to you by Reebok. Come see how the game is played on Planet Reebok.
And at the break at the Omni, the Philadelphia 76ers looking every bit a team that has lost 7 straight. Their low point output for a half this season. Stacey Augmon has 10 of those 50 points for the Hawks at the break. And this is the Reebok Halftime Report. I'm Vince Cellini with a little something from the Versace collection, and Versace will speak momentarily. But first, we have some mini highlights for you. You know, not long ago, the Knicks and the Hornets met Georgetown reunions at center. But Ewing versus Mourning gave way to Patrick versus Geiger. Knicks at the Hive tonight, but we have one half of the equation for you. Patrick Ewing was there, and let's see Ewing go to work in the first quarter. Charlotte's up 7, but he's working on the rookie George Zidek and lays it in there nicely. Charlotte was up by 5. Later in the first, Kendall Gill looking for Larry Johnson, and with 2 hands, Nelly didn't want it done that way. And they have reached the break now. Charlotte 56-50 at halftime. Starts with 11 for the Knicks, and Khalid Reeves 13 points to lead Charlotte. 2 fallen powers meeting at the Fleet, the Pistons and the Celtics. Todd Day came over to Boston on Sunday in exchange for Sherman Douglas. You know, but don't kid yourself. The key to the trade right here, Alton Lister. No suit for you, Allen Houston. Try to come back with it, and again denied. Alton Lister playing some defense. Now time running down in the first quarter. Dick, where has Dana Barros been? He's right there, MIA. There he is, sinking a long 3 at the buzzer at the end of the first quarter. And now in the third quarter, the Pistons with a 1-point advantage, 66-65. Lindsay Hunter, 19 for Detroit at the half. Clippers at San Antonio, where the Clippers have lost their last 12 games. Here in the second quarter, it's the San Antonio Spurs without Sean Elliott, who didn't play because of Achilles tendonitis. He's missing, and so is the 22 points. And later tonight, the Lakers try to avenge a loss to the Suns Saturday, in which they blew a 10-point lead with 1:05 remaining. And the Warriors, Rick Adelman meeting his old club for the first time this season. All right, Dick, but back to Boston, and now the Celtics have a guard who has an inseam over 33 inches now, in Todd Day. What does Day and this trade do for the Knicks in Boston?
You amuse me. You say funny things.
How do I
really.
amuse you?
Actually, it goes back to Milwaukee, and the story out of Milwaukee is that Todd Day was unhappy when Big Dog was being pushed for the All-Star team last year when he was averaging 17 points a game. Now, that's the story out of Milwaukee. However, if you look at the Boston response to everything, and what Todd Day is saying in Boston is that they are delighted to have Day. You know, the Day lights up the Boston Celtics, they think. I think it's a good trade for everybody. Sometimes you get the honeymoon, and I think there'll be a honeymoon in Boston for a while. They got a good guard corps, by the way.
They absolutely do, and don't forget Alton Lister.
Yes.
Who could possibly forget? Back in a moment with a story close to my heart, and Versace's too. Charles Barkley goes Italian with the Suns import, Stefano Rusconi.
When I call you on the phone, he goes, what you doing, Stefano? You gonna say what? Maybe cheering. That's it. That's it. I don't know.
Houston are playing with the gods. And when you're out there, breathing in the hot, stinky breath of the gods, and still, what in the sand hill am I doing here? You are ready.
And welcome back to the Reebok Halftime Report. And you know the NBA has gone international, so we decided to do so as well with this next story. Understanding Charles Barkley is one thing. Understanding Sir Charles in another language is certainly something else. But this was the task of the Phoenix Suns' Stefano Rusconi, the first Italian citizen to play in the NBA. Rusconi is an Italian League veteran learning about the NBA. Thanks to Barkley, learning those buzzwords every rookie should know.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, since we got the first Italian to play in the NBA, I thought it would be in our best interest to teach him some American words. You ready, Stefano?
Ready. First lesson.
First lesson.
Go.
Come on over to my office. Homie.
Homie.
Homie means friend.
Homie means friend.
Yeah, I'm your homie. Come on, homie. Bad.
It's good.
You bad, man.
You bad, man.
I'm good. Couldn't. Now, when I call you,
Sure.
when I call you, you ain't doing anything? We call that chilling. So like, you know, we're gonna go home when we leave practice. What are we gonna do?
Chilling.
Chilling. When I call you on the phone, you're gonna say, what you doing, Stefano? You're gonna say what?
Maybe chilling.
That's it. That's it.
I don't know.
Now, you can't say you're going home anymore. You're going to your crib.
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 Crib. Your crib. That means your house. Okay. You my dog. So that means we friends.
You my dog.
I'm your dog. That's right.
You my dog.
Now,
Be my dog. Everybody my dog.
that's it. Now, is there anything you have any problems with up here? Okay.
Hey, have to use one of them in the sentence.
Yeah. Can you use one of these in a sentence?
In there?
Use one in a sentence.
Come on, I'm happy.
Come on, Joe.
Happy.
You got a bad homie that sometimes disses you when he's at home chilling in his crib. And he got a fat-looking girlfriend.
Hey!
You're my dog, man.
Dick, you're my dog, man.
Hey,
you're
okay,
my dog,
right,
man. What do you know about this Rosconi guy, other than the fact that he's getting some lessons
Actually,
learned?
he played well in the preseason. And one time they were playing in Albany in the preseason. So Stefano took some of the sons out to dinner at an Italian restaurant, and they had an immigrant Italian cook. So he went into the kitchen, and he told them exactly how to prepare the meal. So when they get back to Phoenix, Barkley takes them out to a soul food restaurant and says, "Hey, man, eat."
I love that.
So, a little simplicity there.
Sure, and by the way, in the Italian League, Rosconi was known as king of the slam dunk. So what do you say, Dick? My dog. You're my dog. We're chilling at commercial
but
now.
I'm figuring to go to crib, you know?
All right, the Reebok halftime report continues in just a moment with more witty banter and international lessons learned. We'll be right back. Stay with us. And a programming reminder coming your way on Friday night. Our NBA coverage continues. This time it continues on TNT, as always. And first we'll have the pregame show for you with Ernie Johnson as your host at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Chuck Daly will also be in studio, as will Reggie Theus. And then the big game coming up, the Charlotte Hornets at the Miami Heat. LJ will be there and waiting as usual. And after the game, it's Inside the NBA. Ernie Johnson and Reggie Theus guide you through highlights, feature the best plays for the month of November, the opening month. Our score at halftime from the Omni, 50-33, the Hawks in charge of the Sixers. Dick, Chuck, and Sega will be back for the second half in just a moment.
The Reebok Halftime Report has been brought to you by Reebok. Come see how the game is played on Planet Reebok.
Back here at the Omni, the Hawks have a 17-point lead at the half over the 76ers. Okay, Coach, how does Philadelphia start to creep back in this game?
Well, first thing I do is get Mad Max back in uniform at halftime. Secondly, the only way is going to be aggressive defensively. They're going to have to get some steals. They're going to have to get stops. It's not going to be done offensively, and they're playing a very good club in their own building.
Let's take a look at some halftime statistics, and the shooting story really tells it all. 33 to 53%, the Hawks with a big edge in their backcourt scoring. 22-9, sparked by Blaylock, Smith, and, of course, Spud Webb.
This is a perfect example of what's happened all night. We've talked about transition defense. There's Spud Webb leaking out and getting as easy a two as you can get. You've got to stop that kind of play.
And Craig Sager, moments ago, talked with the 76ers coach, John Lucas.
The Hawks, who won in New York last night in overtime, are up by 17. The Sixers well rested. Did they get a wake-up call from Coach John Lucas in the locker room just now?
Well, you know, we aren't shooting the ball very well, and we're not getting back. And we've got a lot of opportunities on the offensive glass, but we don't go there. And we've got to get ourselves matched up and move the ball. We've missed some easy shots. We're shooting 32%. We're not going to beat anybody like that. So we've got to find a way to get them stopped from the defensive end and take away the easy buckets, which are 22 points there for them. And then we got a chance to get into the game. But right now, unless we can do those things and get more aggressive, we can't win.
Well, don't fire the coach. It's only November.
All right.
Let's go back to Dick.
All right, Craig, and the 76ers do not have a player in double figures, and not surprising considering they only have 33 points in the game. The leading scorer for the Hawks is Stacey Augmon with 12, and Spud Webb and Andrew Lang each have 8. And talk about the bench, the Hawks have 24 points off of their bench, and that's almost half of their total of 50.
I think an interesting stat, Philadelphia's had 9 offensive rebounds. When you get an offensive rebound, I think it's key that you try to get a score out of it and or get fouled. But they've converted on only 3 of them and getting some points out of it. You've got to do a better job. You've got to get to the foul line at least when you get an offensive rebound.
So the Sixers facing what they have looked in the mirror and seen all year, blowouts. They have been beaten by wide margins. They're down by 17 after scoring only 13 in the second period. They've lost 4 in a row on the road and 6 dating back to last year. And have to go some here against the Hawks as we start the second half. Sean Bradley working his way in the pivot. Wide open is Witherspoon, and he hits from the corner. So it's Stackhouse, Bradley, Witherspoon, Grant playing with 4 fouls, and Graham.
You know, this is one of those games where Atlanta could go to sleep, and we have seen it 100 times in the NBA. Shoot yourself in, shoot yourself out.
And that was Andrew Lang, and I tell you, Bradley made a difference on that hook shot inside. Sixers come back. Grant Long, Andrew Lang, Blaylock, Norman, as well as Steve Smith in the lineup for the Hawks. And ripping away the rebound was Andrew Lang. And a foul against Greg Graham, and that will be his first personal foul.
Andrew Lang ending up with the ball and throwing some elbows to get it. Much more physical than the interior of the 76ers. 76ers got to get more physical.
And a good play by Witherspoon over the top on the turnover. Graham going in against Smith, and Greg Graham with his 4th point of the game.
And John Lucas making a change in the lineups, going to Greg Graham at the 2 guard and feeling get a little more offensively. Jeff Malone is struggling right now. Don't know if he'll come out of it at his age, quite frankly. A terrific kid and a great player. He's got to come out of it, though.
Only 2 points for Malone as Blaylock misses outside, and a rebound by Witherspoon. So the Sixers see a chance to gain some headway here. 8 rebounds for Witherspoon, and Sean Bradley went baseline too far under the basket and couldn't connect. So that may be the idea for Philadelphia to go to him.
Yeah, and if he gets down there and just holds his ground, not trying to make a very difficult shot, pump it up, could be more effective.
And we will have a save into the hands, though, of Witherspoon. Here comes Stackhouse. Stackhouse to Graham on the other side. Missed the open shot. Stackhouse with a follow is fouled by Steve Smith. And the comment that John Lucas made to Craig Sager really comes up big. With all of the problems the Sixers have happened, they're missing open shots.
Yeah, they really are. You know, you've got to be able to shoot the basketball, and all of these guys have played enough basketball that they should be able to make their share of shots. But I think a lot of that has to do with confidence, and I think John has got to continue to show confidence in this club and be the leader, and they can get back on track, particularly if they get Maxwell back.
Smith with his 2nd foul. Stackhouse with 7, well below his season's average. Stackhouse misses the 2nd one. Jerry had 34 points against Sacramento, and that was the 2nd most points by a Sixer rookie. Andrew Toney back in '81 had 35, so he's capable. Under 10 minutes to go in the 3rd quarter. 3-point shot missed by Blaylock, and Grant with a 3-on-1, and Stackhouse turned it over. He has averaged 5 turnovers. That's pretty high coming into this game.
That was a great pass right in his hands. You know, that place where you don't want to put it, and it would have been an easy layup. Gets them to within 10. It did not happen.
26 turnovers, and Atlanta has committed most of them. And an offensive foul called against Steve Smith. And that is his 3rd foul as he collided with Greg Graham. So the 76ers have scored the first 5 points of this period, and with 9:24 to go, the Hawks have yet to dent the scoring column.
Yeah, 76ers are in a good position here. If they can come down and execute, get a basket here, they're in a position and play good defense, they can get back in this game.
Looking for the pick and roll, not there. Graham goes low now to Bradley. Bradley with the sweeping hook shot, and Sean Bradley with his 2nd point of the game.
And off that pick and roll, he was on the weak side. Didn't have the greatest position, but still got the shot. He can work. He's not working hard enough early to get position.
Blaylock comes back with a 2-point basket. He has 9 points. That's Blaylock's first point since the opening quarter. And a 12-point lead for the Hawks. There's that number again, 12. Bradley setting a screen for Graham. Stackhouse with the ball. Loses it. Another turnover by Jerry Stackhouse. Smith. Norman going low now to Long. Facing the basket against Witherspoon. Graham now doubles. Open man in the corner, Blaylock. Good passing by the Hawks. And that is a 2-point basket. 3 for Mookie Blaylock.
Good story, Blaylock. Last year, if he did not play well, they didn't have a good night. This year, they can escape that. They're past that, particularly because they've got Webb and they've got such good balance on the bench and other people who can do it. They don't have to depend on Mookie Blaylock to do everything.
So they've taken the pressure off of him, and he's a lot more relaxed. Makes the steal here for the Hawks. And Grant tried to get it, and a good play made by Lang, who gets the pass back from Grant Long and a foul. Andrew Lang with a heady play inside. He saw Grant coming and knocked it over to a teammate.
Mookie Blaylock, who's one of the best steal artists in the league. Perfect example over here. He gets it, but he gets it out, and they make the long pass. Grant almost picks it off.
And Andrew Lang going to the line to shoot 2. There is Mookie Blaylock, who is in his 7th year, 3rd leading scorer at 16 points a game.
A very competitive guy. Knows he's not playing particularly well tonight, but he started to get into defensively. Made a couple steals, made a couple baskets, and it goes back to his competitiveness. He's one of those guys that can kind of turn it on.
Lang last year averaged 6 points a game, averaging 16. As Chuck mentioned, the big reason why the Hawks have improved their offense as much. He has 9 points after making 1 out of 2, and again a 16-point lead. So the Hawks have blunted the 76ers bid here so far in this 3rd period. 7 on the shot clock. Weatherspoon spins away, and a steal by Blaylock on the other end. Grant defending, and Mookie lays it in. Mookie Blaylock now with 14 points and 3 steals in the game.
And very quickly has just turned this game completely around.
So the Sixers came out sharp, but Mookie Blaylock, Spud Webb, I'll tell you, the 2 point guards have really up-tempoed this game for the Hawks.
Here the Sixers, Jerry Stackhouse, getting ready to put the ball in play. Gets in the lane, but as he turns, he's going to have to learn to protect the basketball. You got guys like Mookie Blaylock in this league. They're going to come from the top, make that steal every time. They're so alert at getting into the defense. He, Jordan, Pippen, and players like him.
Last year, the Hawks averaged just over 96.5 points a game. Look at their shooting at 3-point, and they have raised it now. Only the Phoenix Suns have averaged more per game than the Atlanta Hawks, and Andrew Lang's a big part of that.
He's a big factor, but there are other reasons that we talked about in the opening. The bench, of course, Spud Webb being able to push the ball. They get a lot of easy baskets with their second unit, and they get contribution from everybody on the floor. I haven't seen many clubs in the league where a coach is as comfortable with the bench.
This is a team that is in 2nd place in the division behind the Chicago Bulls, and there are a lot of tough clubs in the Central. Grant looking inside to Weatherspoon. Grant Long is overplaying him. Can't go in there with 5 seconds. Good interior defense by the Hawks. Weatherspoon with 2 has to put it up and makes the shot at the buzzer. So Clarence Weatherspoon now with 11 points, the only Sixer in double figures.
One of the big problems that the Sixers are having, they're using too much of the clock. It's winding way down, and they're having to make those kind of shots late in the shot clock. And when you have to do that, it puts a lot of pressure on you offensively.
Smith is looking low now to Norman. Bradley making it tough for him to get the pass out. 3 on the shot clock. And here is Norman feeding out, and the 24-second clock expires. So that was a good double team in the corner by Philly.
Yeah, a good defensive sequence, and the double team made the difference. It forced them to kick the ball out, then they can match up. And when you get quick to a matchup late in the clock, it makes it tough for a team to score.
16-point lead for the Hawks. They have led all the way, looking for their 3rd straight win of the year. Their biggest lead was 19. Grant coming around a Weatherspoon screen. And here is Graham. Triple team for the moment. 4 on the shot clock. Sixers not in position to get off a good shot. Grant with a runner at the buzzer. And once again, Chuck, the point you just made, they're letting too much time off on that clock.
And you got to compliment the Hawks defensively because they're putting them in that kind of a position.
3-point basket by Norman. So Ken Norman, who scored 21 points last Saturday against the Toronto Raptors, has 5 in the game, and it's a 61-42 lead. Matches the biggest lead the Hawks have enjoyed. Grant
goes to the pick and roll, and if I were John Lucas, I'd keep going back to it. But Gary Grant has got to get in the lane. He's coming off dancing and not trying to get in the lane, so he's settling for the quick pass and then allows the defense to match up.
Norman going for another three and hits it. That's a 2-point basket. He had a foot on the line, but Norman, hitting 2 perimeter shots now, has 7 in the game. And now they've changed it to a 3. So Ken Norman, who spent his first 6 years with the Clippers, has hit back-to-back threes, and it's a 20-point lead for the Atlanta Hawks, their biggest lead of the game. And a foul at the other end. Let's see Norman's hot hand from the perimeter, Chuck.
Norman steps out earlier in the game. He took some of these shots. Some nights he really, I think he was all right. Yeah,
that was a good one.
If you wear, black sneaks, with that line being black, it cost us a big game in Boston. McHale made a 3 one night, foot on the line with a black shoe.
Still complaining about that.
Still complaining. Still remember the call.
Another 10 years, you'll forget all about it, I'm sure. Graham misses a 3, gets his own rebound, and reverse layup is good for Greg Graham. Grant Long had committed the foul, and last touch by the Sixers, so it's still Hawks ball. The Celtics with a 3-point lead over the Pistons, and an 11-point lead for Charlotte as we take a look at tonight's Chevy scoreboard. 1-point lead that was, and the Clippers by 6. Ten on the shot clock. Blaylock looking inside. Andrew Lang working against Sean Bradley, and a good hook shot off of the 76er.
That little jump hook, not a true hook shot, but that jump hook is almost impossible to stop.
Sean Bradley wears 76, and he is 7'6".
I wonder why.
Does that fit this club, Philadelphia, or what? That's why they drafted him. And a foul before the shot, no basket. And the foul will be against Andrew Lang, his second personal foul. And now they change it to an illegal defense. That's the first one charged against Atlanta. Weatherspoon quickly picked up by Norman. Fake. This is outside, or the rebound by Grant Long. That's 9 rebounds for Long. He is the leading rebounder on the club, as he was last year, and traveling his ball.
As happy as Lenny is with the deep bench that he has, at some point nearing playoff time, he's going to have to settle on more of an 8-man rotation, maybe 9, in order to really get this club homed in.
Grant dishes it out to Dumas. Rebound by Norman. Norman with Blaylock. Lang, Long, and Steve Smith, the 5 in there for the Hawks in white. And a good fake around Sean Bradley, and that was an embarrassment for Bradley as Grant Long gets the easy 2.
They just went right around him. There was absolutely no defense. He's got to back off. He can't play him one-on-one and make him, use his size.
Talking to John Lucas early today, he needs a point guard. He mentioned the fact that it's not out of the realm of possibility that maybe Sean Bradley would be better with a contender. Possibly that would be a guy the Sixers might move.
Yeah, I sense today that they're going to try to make some moves. I think they're really looking to get some people. There's Mookie Blaylock getting his hand in on a steal again.
Blaylock coming back. Greg Grant forces him to give up the dribble. Blaylock, who has scored 14 points. 3 players in double figures for the Hawks, led by Blaylock's 14. 2:45 remaining in the third. Illegal defense called against the Hawks, and that'll be a technical foul. That is the second one called against Lenny Wilkens' Hawks. Wilkens, the U.S. Olympic basketball coach, coming up next year. We're next to a guy here that knows what that's all about. Smith is going to shoot the technical foul.
All right, Hawks fans.
And the foul was against the 76ers on the illegal D, and Smith missed it.
Vince Giannini back at the TBS studios. We want to take a break from the Hawks and the Sixers, a game that was pretty much played by the book, to one where the gloves came off, and this at the Charlotte Coliseum. The Knicks and the Charlotte Hornets, and some real rough stuff taking place in the third quarter. We want to show you this. There were a couple of events. In fact, first of all, Derek Harper, Glenn Rice.
Harper and Rice get mixed up. This is normal NBA stuff. But what you're going to see coming up is not exactly normal NBA stuff. You're going to see LJ lose his cool and the oak tree. Watch these two guys. This is not Tyson and McNeely. This is a lot better than Tyson and McNeely. Uh-oh, a little punch, shove away. That's going to cost him, by the way, Vince. You know, the NBA, the letters stand for no babies allowed.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was the heavyweight matchup, and we both agree. We watched that on pay-per-view, but there could be some suspensions involved, probably some fines as well. We'll give you a third-quarter score from Charlotte, the Knicks, and the Hornets. And the Hornets up by 4, and they are ahead on points through 10 rounds. We want to go back to Dick Stockton now at the Omni. Hawks and the Sixers.
All right, Vince, thank you very much. It's 68-46. The Hawks leading all the way. Clarence Weatherspoon inside off the glass, 13 points. The only Sixer in double figures in the game. 20-point lead.
He's been the only guy they've been able to really go to make anything happen offensively.
And no one thought he'd play tonight.
Yeah, exactly. Thank God for him.
Atlanta 9 for 11 from the field. So they're red hot from the floor here in this third period. Pick and roll, and they go out to Norman. Norman down the lane, tries to feed it in, and will have a Philadelphia foul. Sharon Wright is first personal foul. First foul for Wright. A couple of weeks ago when he was in a slump, Ken Norman worked with Jack Llewellyn, the sports psychologist who helped Braves pitcher John Smoltz several years ago. Anything that can help.
Well, shooting, you know, such a poor percentage, 25%, actually 23%. Here's icing of the pick and roll. When you ice it and you slip and come back to the top, it creates an opening. Norman gets in the lane, draws the foul, trying to dish off.
Norman had a career low from the line, 46%, but he hits both of these. As you mentioned, 23% from the line coming in. But Norman now in double figures, and 4 Hawks are in doubles, and it's 70-48 as we get down to a minute and a half remaining in the third. Sean Bradley on the bench right now as Sharon Wright replaced him. Wright working his way in. Good defense inside by Grant Long. Blaylock. Boy, the guards have really exploded tonight for the Hawks. Norman with a shot. Norman with his third three-point basket of the night.
And that's a guy that shoots 23% from the free throw line. How do you figure?
That's what put gray hairs on you when you coach, which of course we no longer see. Atlanta, by the way, Chuck, is 7.
Only your hairdresser knows.
Right. No secrets here. And now an illegal defense called against the Hawks, and we'll have a technical foul coming up on that side. It's going to say from three-point range, Lenny Wilkins' team 7 for 11. The Sixers have not made any three-point shots tonight. Graham will go to the line to shoot the tee. Want to remind you that Chuck and I will be in Chicago next week for a terrific matchup. The New York Knicks and the Chicago Bulls. Patrick Ewing, Michael Jordan. Next Wednesday, 8 o'clock here on TBS. Under a minute remaining in the third quarter. Sixers have scored only 49 points.
Grant Long on a wrestle hold had him over the top, both arms locked.
This is one of those games where it has been seemingly effortless for the Hawks, that the crowd obviously supporting Atlanta, getting off to an 8-5 start and winning here, can only just sit on their hands and watch a routine easy win.
Yeah, the Sixers, rested the other club coming off of a tough game last night. You thought they've got to play with more energy. There's no question about it. I think that John's got a real dilemma with this club. They've got to start from basic ground zero with a lot of things.
Weatherspoon has the shot blocked by Andrew Lang. His second of the game coming out of the pack is Blaylock. He has Vaughn, Augman, and Augman misses the shot. Grant Long misses. 2 easy shots missed inside, and now at the other end, Greg Grant feeds Graham, and with 13.3, it is now 73-61. Make it 51. Excuse me, I've given the 76ers a little more credit than they deserve, Charles. Playing for the last shot, under 3 seconds to go, and it's deflected, and it It is still going to be, it's going to be Sixers ball.
Yeah, .7. They're going to have to push it real quickly unless he wants to take a 20.
And that shot goes up off the glass, no good. 18 points scored by the Sixers. They had 13 in the second period, but Mookie Blaylock having a terrific game with 14 points.
What do you think? In the mood for some bonus coverage? We got it for you. You saw earlier the Knicks and the Hornets going at it with the fisticuffs. We're going to join that game now, just starting the fourth quarter. It is the Charlotte Hornets with a 3-point lead. Marv Albert, John Andres with the call at the Charlotte Coliseum.
Alonzo Mourning for Miami, a season high of 38, and the Heat win over the Dallas Mavericks.
When Charlotte meets Miami this weekend on Friday night, it will be their first meeting of the year, so there will be a lot of emotion in Miami on Friday night. One of our crack staff clocked out John Starks' airtime moments ago, and we were off slightly. It was in the air 0.7 of a second.
Not bad. Hornets 86, the Knicks 81. 2 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Starks with the spin. Mason. Anthony Mason with 15 points. Hornets 86, Knicks 83. Mason switching off to Reeves. So Harper now guarding Rice, who wants to take him low.
That's what the pick and roll can accomplish.
And Rice shooting over Harper, rebounded by Oakley. Smith tried to post up on Rice, and he's upset. He thought that he had position, wanted the ball. Harper, Oakley on the rebound, and a loose ball foul on Charles. That's his fourth personal.
One of the rare times an official has made a call like that, and there's no argument from a player. Charles Oakley working underneath. Gives Zedek a little push.
Scott Burrell is checked back in. Curry gets it back out to Reeves. 3 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Shot clock down to 5. Reeves, wild shot. Here's Starks. He has Harper with him. Starks on the crossover. Yes, and it counts. John Starks has really picked it up here tonight. Curry with the foul and Starks to the line.
One of the qualities coaches love about John Starks is even when things go bad, he puts his head down and keeps working. And that's what he has done tonight with his tremendous combative spirit.
And the three-point play by Starks ties the game at 86. Points for Starks. Johnson. Larry Johnson.
He went under the big man Smith. Great move by Larry Johnson.
Once again.
Okay, that was our bonus coverage from the Charlotte Coliseum, and there you see the score. The Hornets by a deuce now in the fourth quarter. We'll be back to our game, our TBS game tonight, the Hawks and the Sixers, in just a moment.
Back here at the Omni in Atlanta, the Hawks in front by a whopping margin of 79-54, and a 20-second timeout called by the Atlanta Hawks. And now it's time for tonight's Dutch Boy in the Paint. Bradley and Lang, and Chuck, you talked about how Lang has been the difference for the Atlanta Hawks, and the rebounding story a lot closer than it would seem.
Yeah, really, the 76ers with 12 offensive rebounds, Hawks with only 8, but the Bradley-Lang matchup is a mismatch tonight. But in all fairness, I don't know that Bradley has had that many attempts
You could say, and the Sixer people might say, well, he doesn't get himself in a position to get those kind of shots, but he's only 2 for 4, and he's going to have to work to get more shots. They're going to have to get their center position more shots somehow, in my opinion.
So the enigma of Sean Bradley continues for the Philadelphia 76ers tonight. And Jerry Stackhouse on the free throw line. He is shooting 2 shots. He made 1, and now Stackhouse misses the second, gets his own rebound. So Stackhouse in double figures. Webb and Grant, a couple of 5'7s, out guarding each other at the point.
Eye level to eye level.
Weatherspoon with a fake double team. High arcing shot, air ball, and it's Alston. And they say it was last touched by Alan Henderson.
Alston went up over the top, got the ball, brought it down, and then it was knocked off of Henderson.
Sixers shooting only 38% from the field and have 54 points in the game. Here is Alston with another miss. Sixers have not been able to connect. That's been their biggest problem of all. Webb penetrates and feeds inside, and a foul. Alan Henderson will shoot a pair.
Talked about it earlier there. We see Spud Webb pushing the ball, getting in the lane, and getting his teammate a very easy basket.
So Webb, who made his presence felt when he came in the second quarter and scored 8 points and set up many of the other Hawks for baskets. Alan Henderson on the line. Henderson with 4 points. And we're going to see Matt Bullard come into the game for the first time. He was with the Rockets for 4 years. Last season was in Greece, was on the championship team 2 years ago.
Yeah, he was a contributor with that club. He came over at halftime in our break and said, I think I can get this game. And here he is, got a chance to get over 9 minutes of playing time.
That's the best prediction we've had all night from Matt Bullard, saying he'll get in, and lo and behold, he did. Nearly 3 minutes gone by in the fourth quarter. Stackhouse had a screen from Sharon Wright, pick and roll, and Lang reaching in, committing the foul. Lang, that's his second personal foul, and foul trouble is not a factor in the game, not when the score is 81-54.
Yeah, Jerry Stackhouse ran that pick and roll, drew the foul, but he ran it very well. He very aggressive coming off the screen, and I think this is an area they're going to have to explore. Here we'll see it again. This time he predetermines, goes to baseline, but he gets the ball in position inside.
And nearly lost his footing driving to the basket in Sharon Wright. And another Hawk foul. So if you're way behind and you want to stop the clock, the Sixers are being very successful at that right now.
They're getting them to the foul line.
So Sharon Wright going to the free throw line, had a career high of 30 points against the Washington Bullets on the 15th of November, 7 more than his previous high, and came in averaging 12.5 a game, 4th leading scorer, but has 5 right now, and 3rd leading rebounder, but has plucked 1 off the glass.
Now, John Lucas, he's in a real dilemma because he's the GM and he is the coach, and he's got a tough job ahead of him because he knows he has to improve his roster a little bit. Obviously, he's very confident when Maxwell comes back that they're going to be a more solid club, and I think they will be at home because Maxwell is playing very well at that point guard position.
We are going to have a foul on this Jerry Stackhouse. Stackhouse, a quiet game for him. He has averaged 19.6 points per game, and 34 in a game against Sacramento, but 4 for 10 shooting. Henderson from the corner misses, and Bullard for the follow. So Matt Bullard, who is not drafted in his 5th year out of the University of Iowa, gets his first point.
Contributor early into the game.
83-56. Grant. And it doesn't drop for him. Tipped by Wright. Stackhouse goes around Bullard, works his way in. Basket counts and a foul. Good move to the hoop by Jerry Stackhouse.
Jerry Stackhouse, one of those players. He's probably going to get his 19 or 20 almost every night. Here he's very, very aggressive. He's really working at getting to the basket. Ball gets tipped. He gets to the basket, strong to the basket, gets fouled, and gets the basket. He's going to be able to get his every night, and they're going to have to work around figuring out how to get him involved very early and keep him consistently there all night and move him up to 23 or 24.
Chuck started the game at small forward, but and he's comfortable there. He played power forward at the University of North Carolina, but in the long range, he'll be a shooting guard.
Yeah, I think he can play both positions. I think he can play 2 and 3, get minutes at both positions when you get a good, solid roster.
By the way, Andrew Lang committed that last foul, his 4th of the game. Bullard tries a fancy behind-the-back pass, and now Todd Munt, another rookie from Delta State, in the game, and Bullard gets his 2nd basket, and it's now 85-59. Still plenty of time remaining in this game. And Weatherspoon has the first shot blocked. Sharon Wright battles, gets the rebound and the basket. They got to credit the 76ers still battling inside, but here's what happened at the other end.
Here's Matt Bullard. Watch his acrobatic move. He's been around. He knows how to play. He's a nice luxury to have down at that 11th and 12th position.
So Bullard with 2 hoops, and we mentioned Todd Munt, the 7-footer from Delta State, who sat out last year. He was with the Hawks rookie and free agent camp in 92 and 93. Played 1 game in their 93 opener against Indiana and then was released. Played at the CBA.
You know, one of the things that you benefit by having a guy like Munt on your roster is the fact that you've got to play against big people. You've got to, in practice, you get a chance to go against these people and shoot over them. He may not be a contributor in terms of games night in, night out, but to practice against him is helpful.
Elo in the game along with Webb, so none of the starters for the Atlanta Hawks out there now. And Matt Bullard gives the crowd something to cheer about with his 3rd basket of the game. He's 3 for 3 from the field.
And I'm very impressed with Spud Webb. Spud Webb makes the play, dribbles on the baseline, makes the play.
Alston with a baseline shot over Bullard. Lenny Wilkins, you mentioned, kind of knew what he had. Said 6-2 in preseason, could have been 8-0, and everyone counting the Hawks out. But they have been anything but a pushover as Spud Webb hits his first 3-point basket of the game. He has 11 points. And the Hawks could be a factor in the Central Division.
Here's Spud Webb on a steal.
And Webb going in. The trailer, Henderson.
Great decision. Great decision. A lot of guys would have tried to cross quarter. He saw the trailer coming, dropped it back, easy passing lane, not taking a tough pass lane. That's true experience.
And the man he had to his right didn't have the angle, so that was a smart move to go to the trailer. In low to right, goes baseline, misses the shot against Munt, out of bounds, and it's still Philadelphia ball. So let's take a look at other scores. The Celtics defeated the Pistons. Grant Hill had 29 points in a losing cause. The Charlotte Hornets cling to a 2-point lead over the Knicks, and the Clippers and the Spurs all tied in the 3rd quarter. Stackhouse leaves it in for Alston, or check that, Tim Perry in the game for the first time, and he's fouled.
Here's another reason why their offensive production is up. Spud Webb making that steal, but look at the great feed to that trailer rather than drop it off, and Elo knew that was the right play.
Technical foul has been called against John Lucas as Tim Perry goes to the line, but first the tee will be shot at the other end.
Spud Webb will shoot the technical.
Spud Webb will shoot the technical foul, and he makes it. Now they'll go to the other side. Want to remind you, for all the scores and highlights, tune into CNN Sports Tonight with Fred Hickman and Nick Charles at 11 p.m. Eastern Time. So here's Perry, who played his college ball at Temple. Seen some action lately, did not play in the first 4 games. Philadelphia 76ers. It has been a pretty long drought for them. They have won fewer than 30 games in each of the last 3 years. They've lost 50 or more games in that span. They've not had a winning year since the 90-91 season. They won 50 games 7 years in a row, including their title year in '83, Chuck.
Yeah, well, I think you can look at the trade of Barkley at that point. Once Barkley's trade was made, you can see the decline. They went from 53 to 44 to 35 to 26 and so forth, down to 2 this year. And, you know, you can look back and you say, well, we got to trade this guy, but you got to pay the price for it.
Henderson driving in with a hesitation, lays it in. It's like the year Larry Bird joined the Boston Celtics.
Dramatic improvement. There's only so many stars in the game, and those guys make a difference with a club.
Here's Perry. misses the hook inside. 76ers way off the mark in the shooting department in this game. Henderson has it knocked away by Alston. Elo with the follow scores, and it's Spud Webb who made it happen.
Great play. What a pickup this was for the Hawks. Credit to management, Pete Babcock, Lenny Wilkens, because this is a major improvement in this club, and we'll see it more and more as the year goes on.
And a hand for Spud Webb as he leaves the game with 11 points, 4 assists, and 3 steals. And the Hawks ever fortunate they have Spud back here in Atlanta. And replacing him will be Howard Nathan, a rookie from Northeast Louisiana. There is Nathan, who's switched from DePaul to Northeast Louisiana. He has averaged 3 minutes a game. 5'10" rookie.
Now's the time. This is one of those games where Lenny says, well, I'm very happy about the fact that I can get these guys in. But he wants to keep their focus. Don't wants them to get into garbage time. He wants them to run their offense and get into play. In that case, the Sixers went to a trap that time, and they just penetrated and broke it down.
Stackhouse with the 1 free throw now with 14 points. But look at the guard tandem of Blaylock and Webb. Those are the point guards now, scoring 25 points and 7 assists. And remember, Smith scored 7 early points. And once again, the bench. 3 members of the Hawks bench are in double figures tonight.
You know, you sense that this Hawk team is a club that's playing with a lot of confidence and getting more confidence as the season goes on.
Working inside is Munt with a left-handed hook. Rebound Henderson, who lays it in. Alan Henderson has 12 points, came in averaging 5.5.
Very lively body, slashing in there, almost like a little bit like Dennis Rodman. Not nearly that kind of offensive rebounder, but a guy who could do those kind of things that you need, and that's why Lenny, I think, so high on him.
And remember, the Hawks have already made 2 trips out west, and they've been successful both times.
Now, a brief on the Olympic Games from Haynes.
The first Olympians had strength, courage, and spirit. What they didn't have is clothes. Maybe that's why coming in first was so important.
Thank you.
Think if they had Haynes back then, they could have enjoyed Haynes' style and comfort and been spared the embarrassment of finishing second or third.
All rise for the national anthem.
Thank you.
I'm Michael Jordan, and you've been briefed.
And we'll bring you the finish of that Hawks-Sixers games, but do want to provide more bonus coverage now at the Charlotte Coliseum. It is Charlotte with a 3-point lead, 104-101, about 2:30 remaining in the fourth quarter. So we'll send you down there with John Andres and Marv Albert.
Johnson has an amazing set of moves around the basket. He's so fast laterally when he stops.
23 for Larry Johnson. Starks try to get it to Ewing. Burrell on the intercept and a call for time along the baseline. Scott Burrell with a good play, and it will be Charlotte ball. There's the timeout. Apparently Burrell was in bounds when he made the indication.
Okay, it is now Charlotte with a 5-point lead in that ball game, and we'll provide you with coverage either in Atlanta, on the road. We do it all. We'll be right back right after this.
Back here in Atlanta, the Hawks rolling 98-69. Jerry Stackhouse just scored another basket. He has 17 and trying to complete a 3-point play on the foul by Munt. And you're right, Stackhouse, who started slowly, is going to, well, he's already exceeded his average, or just about there. 19.6. He's got 17. Lenny Wilkens, after last night winning in overtime, giving his starters a good chance to rest them.
Yeah, this is a good game for them. This gets everybody some action. Guys that don't get a chance to play. Now we'll come back to practice tomorrow and practice a lot harder. And it's good for everyone's ego, good mentally and physically. It's good.
Let's talk about Lenny Wilkens. He's going to be coaching Dream Team 3. You coach Dream Team 2. What do you make of the roster right now with 2 remaining?
Well, obviously it's an awesome roster. You've got 3 centers. They're going to need some outside shooting, in my opinion. I think the Europeans and the international teams are going to get to the point where they're going to start using the clock a little bit more, trying to shorten the games, and they'll play a little bit more zone defense. And I felt with Dream Team 1, all we did is put in Bird and Mullen on the corner. But you're going to need that kind of outside shooting.
Anyone in mind?
Yeah, I have some people in mind. Obviously, MJ, if he wants to play. Joe Dumars, Mitch Richmond. I think those kind of people are going to be imperative.
You know what was the secret to your success at Dream? The practice sessions that you put this team through day in and day out. What, you have 2-a-days when you're over there in Barcelona?
No, the key was, and I threw down the gauntlet to Lenny today. I said, let's see if you can go through the whole situation without a timeout. That'll be the true test.
And you didn't practice either, really.
No, not until when we practiced in La Jolla and in Barcelona prior to starting the games. Once we got into the games, we played every other night at 10:30, so obviously we did not practice.
Sharon Wright with the last basket for the 76ers, and Nathan throws the ball, and let's see who it was last touched. It's still going to be Hawks ball. 3 players in double figures for the 76ers. Stackhouse with 17, Witherspoon with 13, and Wright with 11. And coming into the game is Greg Graham for Philadelphia. Bullard will inbound. Nathan with a 3-point shot misses and is kept alive, and the feed to Munt. He missed his stuff. Henderson gave him a good pass, and it's going to be Philadelphia's ball. Well, let's look at the top rookies. We've seen Stackhouse, who was number 3, and how they've shaped up so far. We saw McDyess in Denver a couple of weeks ago.
He had a very good game when we played him. He's dropped off. He's been in and out a little bit. You have to say Stackhouse, even though he's playing on a losing club right now, is the guy that's moving to the front as a potential MVP of the Rookie of the Year. But some other people will surface later on as they get more comfortable in systems and as the season goes on.
Foul is committed by Nathan, and remember, Stackhouse came in as the leading scorer of this club. And any time you're a rookie and you become the leading scorer at any time, it looks like you're going to be a leader in that department of this club as the years go on.
Yeah, but I don't know that a rookie can come in and establish leadership. He can do it by playing, but I don't know that he can have, it's got to come from somewhere else. And I think it'll come from Maxwell when he plays. He'll be the leader on this club. And I think they'll get back to playing some pretty good basketball. They're going to win some games at home.
But, as the years go on, he'll be an offensive force.
Yeah,
Your rookie can't be a leader on this team.
No.
98-73 with 3 minutes, 20 seconds to go in this blowout. And it was that way from the get-go. Stepping on the line and turning it over. Philadelphia 37%, Atlanta 57%, and that is the story of this game from the very beginning. The Sixers struggled from the field, and the Hawks were making their shots, and it has been a 20% difference throughout this game. Steal by Elo, and Elo lays it in, and it's 100-73 with under 3 minutes to play. Nathan with the steal. Tries a blind pass. Graham doesn't have control of it, and neither does Stackhouse. Alston. And this game has gotten a little sloppy, and that is the understatement of this game. 2.5 to play. Bullard for 3. Henderson didn't give it a lot of energy going after that one.
I think he's finished for the night.
2-on-1. In all the years that I did NBA basketball, in the 10 years, I never used the term garbage time until right now. I'm going to take that out of the mothballs for the first time. I'd say it was a blowout. They're mopping up. But, Chuck, I never used the word garbage time. It fits.
I understand it. It's not a good word to use. I always hated the word, but right now we're seeing some garbage time.
Graham will be on the line to shoot 2. 6 players in double figures for the Atlanta Hawks, and there you see the season low 78 points against Detroit. And Lenny Wilkins, who passed Red Auerbach last January, has extended it again, 977 wins, and we're going to say we'll give him the win.
Yeah, it's time to call it a win.
It's safe.
It's safe.
Sixers will drop their 8th in a row and go 2-10 on the year. And the Atlanta Hawks will be 9-5, off to an impressive start in the Central Division, and making it 3 in a row on the season. Under 2 minutes to play, 100-74. Not a lot of significant numbers tonight. It's mostly been shooting, so Marty Aronoff has had an easy night to our left. But they won't all be like that, Martin. Here's Alston with the jumper. Derek Alston. Last year, the Philadelphia 76ers lost 8 in a row. It was in March, and they're going to match that right here with another 8-game losing streak. Munt. And Bradley gets the rebound.
Bradley with a big rebound, and Lenny Wilkins is still standing over there. He's not real happy with what's going on right now. As I said, this is the time we've got your guys deep into the bench, into the game. You want them to play well.
What can Lenny Wilkins want?
Well, you want them all to play well all the time.
Lenny will take the back-to-back wins, especially an overtime ruling road win and now a breather at home. Couldn't ask for a better scenario.
And he says, I think we got this one.
Underscore the word think.
No, really, no coach is ever satisfied till that. Too many things can happen, but I don't know about this one.
19 for Stackhouse. Nathan with the fake, and he lays it in. Howard Nathan, 102-78. And Stackhouse will go to the line next Wednesday night. The Chicago Bulls, who have been very successful on their 7-game road trip, losing just 1 game, I believe, and that was to Seattle. And the New York Knicks will face them, and that's always been a keen rivalry in the playoffs the last few years.
Yeah, the Bulls have shown that, and this is without Rodman, and it'll be interesting to see if he comes back at that point. He'll probably be back for that game, how they'll continue to play. I mean, he just adds another dimension, but they have shown what kind of club they are and how capable, and they're going to be around come spring, come, the June time. We're going to see the Chicago Bulls.
And I think Indiana's going to make a move, too, because they've been lurking in that Central Division. And, Larry Brown's going to have that team in a challenging position, but the Bulls look awfully strong. Stackhouse on the turnaround and a blocking foul called against Nathan. So Stackhouse with 21 has a chance to lead or add to his team leading total.
All of a sudden, Stackhouse is really getting to the foul line late. Every time he gets the basketball, he's getting fouled.
Stackhouse, one of 7 brothers. One of them, Tony Dawson, was the first team All-CBA for the Rockford Lightning last year. Stackhouse is now 7 for 11 from the line. So it runs in the family.
They're looking at his frame. He's going to, he's so young. He's going to add muscle. He's going to get bigger, particularly if he gets into weightlifting. You take a look at Michael Jordan when he came out, and take a look at him now.
Earlier, Stan Kasten and Dominique Wilkins talking over old times. Maybe Dominique could join the Braves in some capacity. Wilkins, who's interviewed by Craig Sager earlier in the game, heading back to Greece. His mother is ill. That's why he's back in Atlanta. Nathan with a fancy scoop shot makes it 104-81 in favor of the Atlanta Hawks. So all 11 Atlanta Hawks, with the exception of Munt, have scored. And Munt also. Nathan lays it in at the buzzer. So the Atlanta Hawks never look back, and John Lucas's 76ers continue to struggle as they have lost their 8th in a row. The final score, the Atlanta Hawks 106 and the Philadelphia 76ers 81. And right now, let's send you over to Craig.
Well, Spud Webb has returned to the Hawks after a 4-year absence. It's obvious that your speed nor your skills have eroded. How have you been able to step right in for Lenny Wilkins?
Well, his offense is easy. He played guard, and it's a lot of motion and passing the ball around, and that's the kind of offense you want to play in because a lot of people get to touch the ball. In any different night, one guy can take over the game. Like we have Steve Smith, Mookie, or Lane, all those, Stacy, they all contribute, and that's the kind of team you want to play on.
You played on some playoff contenders here in Atlanta before you went to Sacramento. Is this team a legitimate playoff contender, do you think, in the East?
Oh, definitely. We're not as deep as center, but I think we're definitely a playoff contending team in the East with a West Coast offense, I guess, scoring a lot of points and taking a lot of jump shots. But I think we're a playoff team. We've beaten some teams on the road that people don't expect us to beat, but we have a group of guys that's coming together.
Spud Webb is back in Atlanta, and the spark is back in the Hawks. Let's go to Dick Stockton and Chuck Daly.
All right, they sure are, and this is a team that getting off to a great 9-5 start. Spud Webb, one of the many spark plugs as the Hawks win going away. And when we come back, we'll send you to our studios, Vince and Dick, with all the scores and highlights.
And you've just seen the Atlanta Hawks take care of the Philadelphia 76ers, and now we have some business to take care of, yes, in the TBS studios as NBA Wednesday on TBS continues. I'm Vince Cellini, Dick Versace, and Versace very close to being named the new James Bond, but Pierce Brosnan just beat you out. I know you want to talk about that and a lot of other things on the show. Let's get going with some business here in the highlights. The New York Knicks and the Charlotte Hornets. Now, for some years, we had Patrick Ewing against Alonzo Mourning in a good battle at the center position. But Mourning down playing for the Heat. Would Patrick have his way? Not even close tonight. Patrick struggling along with his Knicks in a game that is very, very close and featured some fisticuffs as well. Larry Johnson was involved in that. There's Kendall Gill with the basketball and to LJ for the strong jam and an early 7-point Hornet lead.
Now, this is what Don Nelson saw in Anthony Mason. Watch him play Glenn Rice and Kendall Gill like a drum, reading the defense, finding the open man. High basketball IQ.
All right, look at Larry Johnson going to work, and there you go. Johnson, Charles Oakley, this in the third quarter, pushing and shoving.
Don't mess with the oak tree.
And then they go to the face. That's going to be problems. All right, after that, Larry Johnson, the nice, strong post-up move over Charles Smith. Just muscles that one down, tied at 88 in the fourth quarter. This is under 20 seconds to play now. The clock is ticking, 1:14-105. It is Charlotte in the lead. Patrick Ewing, 5 of 17 shooting in this ball game. LJ and Rice each with 25 points. Dick, back to the Knicks, though. Heading into this game, a more relaxed Knicks team. John Starks was talking about with the Riley practices, how exhausted he was. But now with Don Nelson calling the shots, hey, there's time for golf. There's time to lay around on the couch, play with the kids, the whole bit.
Well, you know, being the father of 3, I'm sure you can appreciate that.
Yes, I can.
After an exhausting day at the office. I felt that when Don Nelson went there, because I kind of was in close contact with Nelly during the period of time when he had the problem with Chris Webber with the Golden State Warriors. And he was actually on a beach in Maui designing his new beach home, and he was telling me on the phone, that's how much I love it here. I love the ocean. And I was saying to myself, no way, you will be back coaching. And it's a great fit because it would have been unfitting for Don Nelson to end his career on a beach house in Maui. By the way, the beach house plans put on hold.
Well, we'd always be interested in taking in that beach house in Maui a little bit, little relaxing vacay getaway. So keep that in mind. All right, a rivalry that once was pretty strong, but now it's fallen on some hard times. The Pistons and the Celtics. But I'll tell you what, they fought tooth and nail at the Fleet Center this evening in a game that had a very, very close finish. ML Carr and the Boston Celtics looking to keep Detroit winless on the road, would they? Dana Barros with a sweet move here. The crossover, leaving Stephen Bardo looking like Don Pardo. The drop finger roll, Boston still down by a point. Third quarter now, 58-55. Dana Barros, long three-pointer, and Boston is up by 6. Minutes later, Grant Hill with a steal. You know what's next. Flush. Detroit is trailing by a point. Fourth quarter, 83-80 Detroit. Dino Raja turns a three-point deficit into a three-point advantage, hitting from all over the floor. Now 4 seconds left. David Wesley at the line with a free throw. And Boston up by 2, but Rick Fox tipping that miss out. And Boston hangs on to the basketball, and they come away with the victory, 196. So Detroit now 0-5 on the road, despite 31 from Allen Houston. Dino Raja, 29 points and 15 rebounds for the Celtics. Some scores to get you caught up on. The Clippers and the San Antonio Spurs. The Clippers 0-12 all-time against David Robinson as a Spur. 16 points for Robinson in the first half. You see Lloyd Vaught with a dozen for the Clippers. And in some of the late games just getting underway, Phoenix at the Lakers. The Lakers have lost 5 straight to the Suns, including that heartbreaker on Saturday. The Lakers were up by 10 with 1:05 left and lost the ball game. Portland Golden State, first time Rick Adelman is going to get a chance to see his old team. Now, earlier in the evening, we talked about the fact that the Boston Celtics were undergoing some changes because of a trade. Now we want to talk about the Milwaukee Bucks and their roster shakeup, Dick Versace. And as you look at this roster this year as compared to last, only 5 players on this year's roster from last year's roster remaining after 2 trades in 48 hours this week.
Yeah, and 5 of those guys are in Siberia or Vancouver, I should say.
Oh, whoa.
You know, well, that's a long way up there. I did a game up earlier this year up there. It's a beautiful city, by the way, but it is a long way from home. I think what's happened with Mike Dunleavy is he was in a position where he was the fair-haired son, and he was brought home from L.A. Herb Cole, Senator Cole, brought him home, and but I think they have some budget problems with the Bucks as well as they do with the country and with the Congress. So I think what you're going to see is there's going to be clubs across the league that are going to have self-imposed caps. For example, if you take a club like Milwaukee and say they were at $15 million, then the cap went up to $23. Well, that's an $8 million labor increase. Well, some clubs are saying we don't want to absorb that. So I think that's one of the reasons that the Bucks are making the moves they're making. Plus, I think Mike Dunleavy should have probably had someone else coach that team for a couple of years, then moved in when the team got strong, because he's been going into locker rooms 55 times a year trying to say this is why we lost.
Yeah, well, timing is everything. And speaking of timing, want to advance a story. Tomorrow night, Chris Webber back on the floor for the Washington Bullets as they host the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, you might recall Webber dislocating his left shoulder back on October 21st in preseason. So his first action of the season. Is the shoulder okay, Dick? That is the big question. Will it hold up now?
I think not. I think what you've got is a chronic shoulder, much like Dale Davis has. David Craig, their trainer, and Kevin Johnson. Now, both these guys were my trainers when I coached the Pacers. They're both excellent trainers. They have both told us that this is a thing that's very high risk, very, very chronic. It's likely to come out before the season is over. Give Chris Webber some credit for going in there and giving it a try.
Right, but it's a thing that really doesn't get well all by itself.
No, eventually I think you're going to have surgery, as did Dale Davis, to repair it.
Okay, this is true. All right, we want to tell you that coming up on Friday on TNT, lots of action ahead, and it starts with a pregame show at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Ernie Johnson Jr., Chuck Daly's in studio, Reggie Theus there, talking about Zoe Morning, and an interview with Pat Riley, the head coach of the Miami Heat. And then our game, Charlotte at Miami, and that takes place at 7:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Larry Johnson will be all set and ready to go. And following the game itself, it's Inside the NBA. A look at some of the great plays during the month of November. Ernie Johnson will be there with Reggie Theus. Fun and surprises for all. But that's going to do it for us.